Victor Wembanyama just led the San Antonio Spurs to the NBA Finals. But after the loss, a much bigger shock followed. Trade rumors involving De'Aaron Fox started spreading across the league. Almost no one expected this, and many fans are furious. The Spurs exceeded all expectations this season. They won 62 games, stormed through the Western Conference playoffs, and reached the NBA Finals for the first time since 2014. In his very first playoff appearance, Wembanyama took the Spurs to the biggest stage, but they ran into a much more experienced New York Knicks team, which eliminated them in 5 games. The Spurs blew a 29-point lead in Game 4 and a 15-point lead in Game 5. These weren't just bad losses, they were the kind of collapses that change rosters. And right at the center of both collapses was De'Aaron Fox. In Game 4, with 15 seconds left and the Spurs leading 106-105, Fox got the ball after a missed Brunson shot. Instead of dribbling out the clock and waiting to be fouled, he went for a layup that was blocked by OG Anunoby. Anunoby then scored the game-winning tip-in on the other end. That one play changed everything. The Knicks rallied from double-digit deficits in all 4 of their victories. Jalen Brunson scored a finals record 45 points in Game 5 and won the Bill Russell Trophy as MVP. Meanwhile, Fox shot just 34.3% from the field and 25% from three-point range, averaging only 12.8 points in the finals. For a player on a max contract brought in specifically to be Wembanyama's point guard, those numbers are disqualifying. Fox was traded to the Spurs at the 2025 deadline from the Sacramento Kings. His agent, Rich Paul, chose San Antonio as Fox's preferred destination. The Spurs then signed Fox to a 4-year, $229 million contract extension, which runs from 2026-27 through 2029-30. Wembanyama's finals stats: 23.2 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game on 51% shooting. Only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tim Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and David Robinson have matched those numbers in playoff runs of 10 or more games. At just 22 years old, Wembanyama reached the finals despite suffering a head injury in the first round, getting ejected in the second round, and falling behind 3-2 against the Thunder in the conference finals. After the loss, Wembanyama said, "This is the biggest lesson of my life, the biggest learning moment." He also said, "The margin of error is very thin. We dominated for most of the series, but our mistakes were punished so hard." The finals revealed an uncomfortable truth. Fox and Wembanyama may not be the ideal long-term pairing. Wembanyama needs shooting, spacing, and perimeter gravity around him, not another ball-dominant creator. Dylan Harper, at just 20 years old, scored 25 points in a finals game coming off the bench. Stephon Castle also emerged as a primary passer for long stretches. Both Harper and Castle are on rookie deals, while Fox is making $49.5 million next season. The Spurs now have 3 guards who need the ball, but only 1 ball to share. This is a math problem. Sam Amick reported in May that there was already league-wide chatter about Fox's future because Harper was becoming too good to stay on the bench. The finals only confirmed what many already suspected. Now, trade conversations have exploded. The most discussed scenario is a Fox for Tyler Herro swap with Miami. Herro is a shooter who provides constant perimeter gravity. Defenses cannot sag off him. Unlike Fox, Herro doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. He runs off screens, relocates, and forces defenses to stay attached. This would give Wembanyama more room to operate in the paint. Herro's defensive limitations are real, but Wembanyama is the best shot blocker in the league. He can cover Herro's mistakes. Miami, on the other hand, needs a point guard who can attack the rim and control late-game offense. Fox fits that role perfectly. Another trade option is sending Fox to the Toronto Raptors for Brandon Ingram and a first-round pick. Ingram is a 6'8" wing who can create shots and space the floor. He would give the Spurs a different dimension without taking the ball out of Wembanyama's hands. A third option is trading Fox to a team with cap space, like the Brooklyn Nets or Chicago Bulls, purely for salary relief and maybe a late first-round pick. This would allow the Spurs to pursue a free agent who fits better. ESPN's Brian Windhorst reported that the Spurs remain fully committed to Fox and have no intention of trading him this offseason. But public statements like that often come before trades. The Spurs have to at least explore the market after Fox's poor finals performance. Wembanyama is eligible to sign his rookie extension on or after July 6th. His new deal is projected to be worth around $60.4 million per year. Fox will make $49.5 million next season. Castle and Harper will also need new contracts soon. If the Spurs keep everyone, the luxury tax bill becomes enormous. Something has to give. The Spurs have draft capital and pick swaps with Dallas, Minnesota in 2030 and Sacramento in 2031. They have movable contracts like Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. They have young assets. They are not in a weak position. They just need to be bold. Brett Siegel said, Fox has basically played himself into a scenario where the Spurs really need to consider his future. He also called Fox's contract probably the worst contract in the NBA right now, given the Spurs situation. The Spurs went from 34 wins in 2024-25 to 62 wins in 2025-26. They finished second in the West, ranked fourth in offensive rating and third in defensive rating. That jump is extraordinary. It happened because of Wembanyama, smart roster moves, and the Fox acquisition. But now they need the next layer. Head coach Mitch Johnson is also young and learning on the job. His crunch time rotations and timeout usage were questioned during the finals, but he also coached this team to 62 wins and a conference championship. With more experience, he will improve. The Knicks' defensive strategy revealed the Spurs' weakness. They never respected Fox's three-point shot. That allowed them to send extra defenders toward Wembanyama without fully committing to a double. Fox's shooting confirmed they were right to sag off him. Harrow would change that equation entirely. The Spurs also need to address the forward position. They are reportedly interested in Trey Murphy, a 6'8" shooter from New Orleans. Julian Champagnie shot 38.1% from three this season and made big shots in the playoffs. He is a keeper. Harrison Barnes and Kelly Olynyk are on expiring or manageable deals. Wembanyama averaged 26 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 3.6 blocks in the finals. He was historic. He did everything asked of him. The loss was not on him. It was on the roster construction around him. The Spurs accelerated their rebuild years ahead of schedule. That is both a blessing and a pressure. When you get there early, the window opens early, but it can also close early if you don't manage it correctly. Wembanyama has now watched two celebrations that should have been his. The USA winning Olympic gold in Paris, and the Knicks winning their first title in 53 years on his home court. That pain will fuel him, but fuel alone is not enough. He needs the right pieces. The Spurs front office has a clear choice. Keep Fox and hope his finals performance was an anomaly. Or trade Fox and build a roster that maximizes Wembanyama's unique skill set. The first option is risky. Fox will be 29 next season. His game relies on speed. When that speed is neutralized, his effectiveness drops. The Knicks showed the league exactly how to defend him. The second option requires courage. Trading a player you just signed to a $229 million extension is not easy, but the Spurs have done hard things before. They traded Kawhi Leonard. They rebuilt through the draft. They know how to make tough decisions. If the Spurs trade Fox for Harrow, they get shooting, spacing, and a smaller contract. If they trade for Ingram, they get wing size and shot creation. If they trade for cap space, they get flexibility. All three paths are viable. The Spurs' core of Wembanyama, Castle, Harper, and Champagnie is strong. They have assets. They have time, but not unlimited time. Wembanyama's extension will define every future roster decision. Every move must be evaluated through the lens of whether it makes him better. The finals loss was not a tragedy, it was a signal. It showed exactly what the Spurs are missing. Now they have to go get it. The Spurs are an asset-rich contender. They have lottery picks, pick swaps, young players, and movable contracts. They can make a big move this summer without gutting their core. Championship losses reveal uncomfortable truths that regular season success conceals. The Spurs lost because their roster had fundamental weaknesses when the game slowed down. Those weaknesses are fixable. Wembanyama is ready. He is not a player who needs more development. He is a player who is ready to win now. He proved that by leading his team to 62 wins, a conference championship, and the finals all in his third season, all at 22 years old. Now the front office has to match his readiness. They have to be as bold as he is. They have to make the trade that nobody saw coming, the one that turns a runner-up into a champion. The conversation is real. The market is developing. The phones are ringing. And by the time training camp starts, the Spurs roster could look very different. One trade could be the difference between Wembanyama winning 1 title or 5. That is the weight of this offseason. The Spurs accomplished more than anyone expected. They won 62 games. They reached the finals. They proved they belong. Now they have to prove they can finish the job.